Jai Shri Krishna.
Okay.
So 45, right?
Yes, 1 in 45.
Aho bata mahat papai kartum vyavasita vayam yadraja sukhalobhena hantum swajana mutyataha. So aho, aho is alas, bata is how, mahat great, papam sins, kartum to perform, vyavasitaha have decided, vyavasitaha have decided, vayam we, yat is because, 1 second here. Yat is because Raja Sukha Lobhena, driven by the desire for kingly pleasure. Hantum to kill, Swajanam our kinsman, Udyataha intending. So here Arjuna is saying, alas, how strange it is that we have set our mind to perform this great sin. Driven by the desire for kingly pleasures, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. So Arjuna had mentioned, this is 45, but I have 45 and 46 combined here. So Arjuna in the previous slokas had mentioned a number of evils that would come from the impending battle, but he was not able to see that evil would actually prevail if these wicked people were allowed to thrive in society. He uses the word aho to express surprise. The word batta means horrible results. So Arjuna is saying that how surprising it is that we have decided to commit sin by engaging in this war, even though we know of its horrifying consequences. So this is the meaning of Shlok 45. And then I think 46, 46 somebody else has been assigned, right?
Yes. Jai Shri Krishna. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtrarane hanyus tanme kshemataram bhavet. So as in last shloka, Arjuna is saying that it's a great sin that we are ready to kill our own kinsmen for the pleasure of king for kingly pleasure for the state. And now here he goes further. Yadi if mama pratikaram, mam me not mama apratikaram, it is unresisting. Ashastram shastrapanaya. Ashastram is unarmed. Shastrapanaya dhartarashtra, both the words together. Shastrapanaya dhartarashtra means armed sons of Dhritarashtra. Rane in the battlefield, Hanyus kill, Tanme, then Shemataram Bhavet. Then also Shemataram is good, better. Bhavet will be. So he says that if on my unresisting, being if even being I'm unarmed and sons of Dhartarashtra kill me, still then it will be better. So during those times, it was the rule that unarmed person will not be attacked by the armed people. But he says that even if they forego the rules, it will be better. So we can see that Arjuna is here. He's forgetting his duty as a Kshatriya to protect, let alone protect his people. He is forgetting to protect his own self also. So he says that it would be better for me if sons of Dhritarashtra, armed with weapons, kill me in the battle while I am unarmed and unresisting. And take away for us is we shouldn't let our attachments, uh, we shouldn't let our attachments, uh, attachments, our attachments should not be so much that we forget our duty, the work we are supposed to do, or the dharma which we are supposed to follow. Thank you.
Okay, I'll say, so shloka 47 is the last shloka of chapter 1. Sanjaya uvacha eva muktva arjuna sankhye rathopastha upavishat visrijya sasharai chapam shoka samvigna manasah. So the literal meaning is Sanjaya uvacha. So Sanjay said this. So Sanjay was describing what was happening on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. Evam uktva, speaking thus, Arjunaha. So he's telling Arjuna said thus, Sankhye, in the battlefield, Ratha upasthe, on Ratha is chariot, so upasthe is on the chariot. Upavishat, sat. Visrijya, casting aside. Sasharam, Sasharam is along with arrows. Chapam, Chapam is the bow. Shoka, with grief. Samvigna, distressed. Manasaha, mind. So with a distressed mind. So Sanjay describes this. Speaking thus, Arjuna cast aside his bow and arrows and sank into the seat of his chariot, his mind in distress and overwhelmed with grief. So often, when we talk and we get carried away by sentiments. And so here also Arjuna's grief and despair, which he had begun expressing in verse 28, it has now reached a climax. And he seems to have given up the struggle to engage in his dharmic duty in desperate resignation. And this is entirely opposite to the state of self-surrender to God in knowledge and devotion. So one thing to note is that Arjuna was also actually a very spiritually advanced person. And he had also been to, to the celestial abodes and received knowledge from his father, Lord Indra. And in fact, in his past life, Arjuna was Nara, who was a perfect human, and Krishna is Narayan, the Supreme Lord. And also the proof is that before the battle started, Arjuna selected only Krishna to be on his side, and he gave up the whole army of, the Yaduvansha for Duryodhana. And he had this firm conviction initially that if the Lord was on his side, he would never lose. That conviction he always had. But what it says is Sri Krishna wanted to speak the message of Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of the entire humanity, for posterity. And so at that moment in time, just before the battle started, he deliberately created confusion in Arjun's mind. And, he made him so despondent and that he was unwilling to fight. And then Sri Krishna gave this Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of all of us, for mankind. So this is the last sloka of chapter 47. I will recite the Pustika now. Om Tat Saditish Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Prathamo Dhyayah. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. So this Pushpika for this first chapter is thus in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma Vidyayam, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the first chapter entitled The Yoga of Dejection of Arjuna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Am I audible?
Yes, yeah, good.
Thank you. I have to recite the first verse meaning of chapter 2. The chapter's name is Sankhya Yoga. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः संजय उवाच तन्तथा कृपयाविष्टमश्रुपूर्ण कुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यमुवाच मधुसूदनः. So this is the first verse of chapter 2. The literal meaning word by word goes like Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya says, Tam, to him, to Arjuna. Tatha, thus, Kripaya. Kripaya is with pity. Avishtam means overwhelmed. Ashrupurna is full of tears. Akula is distressed. Ikshanam is ice. Vishidantam is, full of grief or grief stricken. Idam, these. Vakyam, the words, the phrase. Uvacha means said, and who said this? Madhusudana, Shri Krishna. Specifically, the word Madhusudana is taken, or the verb Madhusudana is taken for Bhagavan Shri Krishna, which means the slayer of Madhu demon. Okay, so here Krishna somewhere feels that Arjuna also in his mind has the demon of doubt. Madhu has the demon of doubt. So, in order to kill that demon of doubt, Krishna is being addressed by the word Madhusudana. The literal translation of this verse goes like Sanjay says, seeing Arjun overwhelmed with pity, his mind grief stricken, and his eyes full of tears, Sri Krishna spoke the following words. Now, whatever Sri Krishna speaks comes in the next verse, but in this particular verse, the later commentary goes like this. So to describe Arjuna's feelings, Sanjay uses the word kripaya. Kripaya means pity or compassion. This compassion is of two kinds. One is the divine compassion that God and the saints feel towards the soul in the material realm. Now what God and saints feels for all of us. So that is a divine compassion on seeing our sufferings and separation to God. So whatever we are suffering here and how far we are from God. So after seeing this, whatever God might feel and the saints feel, that is the divine suffering. And the other one is the material suffering or the material compassion that we feel upon seeing the bodily distress of one another. Material compassion is a sentiment that is not perfectly directed here. Arjuna is experiencing this second kind of sentiment, the material compassion. He is overwhelmed with the material pity towards his enemy gathered for battle here. The fact that Arjuna is overcome by the grief and the despair shows that he himself is in need of the compassion. Therefore, the idea of his being merciful upon others it doesn't make sense here. Lastly, I would like to say in this verse, Shri Krishna is addressed as Madhusudana, as I have already said, because he had slayed the demon Madhu and hence gotten the name Madhusudana or slayer of the Madhu demon. Here, he is about to slay the demon of doubt that has arisen in Arjuna's mind and hence preventing him from not doing his duty or discharging his duty. So he is addressed by the name Madhusudana here. That's all. Thank you.
Slok was shlok I was allotted was chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga, shlok number 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutasvakashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtamaswargya Makirtikaram Arjuna. Word by word meaning. Kuta means where from and how. Tvam, you. Kashmalam, infatuation. Idam, this. Vishame, at this critical juncture or hour. Samupasthitam, has overtaken. Anarya Jushtam, it is shunned by noble souls. Aswargyam, not leading to heaven. Akirti Karam, not bringing fame. Arjuna, O Arjuna. And the meaning goes something like this, that Sri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, how has this infatuation overtaken you at this critical hour? Actually, Bhagavan is little bit strict on Arjuna, because when he's supposed to perform his dharma as Kshatriya, he is backing. So that is why Bhagavan Krishna is little bit strict, like we parent also are strict at our children. Whenever, suppose if they are going for examination and they suddenly tell, no, I will not go for that. So similar type of thing. Then he's telling that it is shunned by noble souls. That means it will be condemned by all. Neither will it lead to heaven nor bring fame to you. So if you act in a manner what a Kshatriya is not supposed to do, then if you die, you will not go to heaven and you will be infamous throughout your life. And one most important thing of this shloka is that after, I believe, 48 shlokas, Bhagavan Krishna spoke this shloka. So this shloka is special in that sense. Jai Shri Krishna.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes, continue.
am I audible? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Jai Shri Krishna. So, I'm given the meaning of the shloka number 3 of chapter 2. The shloka is Klaivyammagamah partha naitat tvayupapadyate Shudram hridaya daurbalyan tyaktotishta parantapa. Actually, here, shloka number 2 and 3, they are sort of a courage dose, a shock treatment given to Arjuna, who is in the depression mode, as has been described in shloka number 1, verse number 1, and as has been described by Pranavda, that it is nothing but as good as when children do not wish to go for the examination, and then what way the parents have to deal with this. And especially this verse number 3, it's a powerful verse. I'll go for the meanings. Klaivyam means chicken-heartedness or unmanliness, sort of state of impotency, napunsakta. Masmagama, it's yield not to, do not attain to, or don't fall prey. Mat prapto ho, mat accept karo, mat partha. And this is the name of the Arjuna, son of Prutha, that is Kunti. And whenever Sri Krishna wanted to say something special to Arjuna, he used to utter this Partha, call him by Partha. Naitatva yuk papadyate. Here we have 4 words rather. Na etat tvai upapadyate. Na, no, etat, this, tvai, to you, upapadyate, it's not proper or it doesn't befit. So नैतत्वयुपपद्यते, it means this doesn't befit you. यह तुम्हें उचित नहीं जान पड़ता है. That is the meaning of नैतत्वयुपपद्यते. So first line says, O son of Prutha, do not yield to this unmanliness. This doesn't befit you or it's not worthy to you. In the second line, we have the words Shudram, it's mean or base, Tuchha, Hridaya Daurbalyan, weakness of heart or faint-heartedness, Hriday ki durbalta, Tyaktvottishta. Here again we have two words, Tyaktva plus Uttishta. Tyaktva, abandoning or Tyakkar, Uttishta, that is stand up, rise up. Of course, it is in the battlefield. Then Parantapa. This is again given, the name given to Arjuna. Parantapa is it's the scorcher of enemies or a dreaded hero. Kshatriyon ko tapane wala. And therefore, second line says, abandoning this base weakness of heart, stand up, rise up, O Arjuna, for the battle, O dreaded hero. Thus, in this verse, Sri Krishna says, O Partha, yield not to unmanliness, this doesn't befit you. Abandoning this base weakness, stand up for the war, O dreaded hero. And I would just like to mention here that a similar sentence has been said by Swami Vivekananda, who likes this verse very much. And it's a positive approach to rather make one to stand up or go for one's goal. Arise, awake and stop. It's a very important verse in the complete Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna.
Saloni.
Yes, Jai Shri Krishna. I'm reading out the fourth verse of chapter 2. Arjuna Uvacha Katham Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronai cha Madhusudana Ishubhe Prathiyotsami Madhusudana. I'll give you the exact meaning. Katham means how. Bhishmam is Bhishma. Aham, I. Sankhya in battle. Dronam is Dronacharya. Cha is hand. And Madhusudan, O Madhusudan, who is the slayer of the devil Madhu. Ishubhihi is with arrows. Prati with Yotsyami, fight. Puja, how? Worthy of worship. And Arisudan is again slayer of foes. And the meaning is, how can I, O Madhusudan, fight against Bhishma and Drona with arrows? Both of them are worthy of worship, O Arisudan. So the meaning here is actually Lord Krishna with those two verses was very harsh, and we wanted to kind of give him a shock, give Arjuna a shock that he has to wake up and understand that what is his duty. So his words basically jolted Arjuna out of his panic attack, and he was not ready to even have a conversation. He was only talking about what is wrong and what is right and what we are doing is wrong. Now he is ready to have a conversation. And Arjun's arguments from the previous chapter remain unanswered. So he continued to insist on relinquishing the war. He says, no, I just don't want to fight. And these words somehow brought him to reality, to face reality. He uses the word slayer of Madhu, slayer of foes. Madhusudan is slayer of the demon Madhu, and Arisudan is a slayer of foes. He purposely addresses Shri Krishna, Lord Krishna, with these words, because he's saying that you have slayed Madhu, who was a devil, who was a demon, and you are the slayer of foes, and you are now telling me to slay my own kinsman, my own family. he is hinting that it is very easy to slay evil individuals, but to kill your own family, your own kinsmen, it is not easy. So he's somewhere trying to again justify why he didn't want to fight. The fundamental problems still remain unsolved, which is that Arjun was still holding on to the familial teacher and student relationships in the context of a battlefield. So the whole thing is only about Arjun being the attachment. Wherever he was not attached, in whichever battles he was not attached, he fought so well. Now suddenly that attachment comes in him, and therefore he refuses to fight. But on the Kaurava side, they realized that Bhishma and Drona viewed Arjun as an enemy and not a student. So they didn't shirk away from fighting. They said, okay, we will fight. They were ready to fight. But here, Arjun was getting a little despondent, and now he was ready to have a conversation. He was somewhere arguing with Krishna that it's okay for you to say that because you have been killing, devils and demons, but you're telling me to kill my own family, which is not like correct. He was not very convinced even at this stage. That is, I think, the meaning.
Krishna did not want to fight his kinsmen, but Bhishma and Dronacharya were ready to fight. So, do we actually, I mean, the Bhagavad Gita was presented to us, and Sanjay was describing to Dhritarashtra the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, because while that was going on, the battle couldn't even start, right? But we don't know, like, it has not been described whether Bhishma was ready to fight. Like, was he, like, what were his thoughts, his feelings? Was he keen to kill his grandsons? I think we cannot assume that they did not have these kind of sentiments either about, killing their kinsmen. I mean, they were obligated to Duryodhana because of unka namak khaya tha. Lekin that conversation, that because that has never been a part of discussion, because this thing all we are doing is Bhagavad Gita, which Sri Krishna said for our benefit, right? And we for us, like, we don't have these battles of killing our teachers like Priyesh brought up, but our struggles are different in this Kali Yuga, right? But we don't really know whether Bhishma or Drona were actually keen to kill their, like, grandsons and shishyas, but their feelings have never been talked about.
Yeah, but there was no kind of indication also showing that.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, sure, Krish. Please.
So actually, Duryodhana in the war accuses Bhishma Pitamaha that you are deliberately, not fighting to your best capabilities.
Yeah.
He actually accused
Yes.
Bhishma Pitamaha. So that just gives us an idea that Bhishma Pitamaha actually, he actually did not want to kill. He was just compelled to fight and kill, but he actually did not want to kill them. And that is also true of Dronacharya. I mean, we can assume, these were people of the highest moral standards. It was just that their duty compelled them to do what they had to do. But from their hearts, they were the favorites. So I don't think they willingly would want to kill. That's my
But
view.
we are also in such a dilemma many a times. We don't want to do something, but it's our duty, so we just have to do it. So we just
Sorry?
I said we are also sometimes in such dilemmas. Sometimes we don't wish to do certain things, but because it is our duty, we have to do
Yes.
it. So yes.
That's true. That's true. Like, so, because duty is about everything. So we have to do whatever the duty calls,
Yes.
even though it's against our personal wishes and desires.
That's
I'm sorry, I'm in, there's going to be lots of background noise.
No
So I will
problem.
turn off my audio.
thanks for
I'm
joining.
actually in
Thanks for joining.
hotel, so but it's-
Joining me.
I would not want to miss it. Thank you.
As for Pitama Bhishma, he was ready to fight because he was bound by his vow, because he has taken the vow to support the Raj Singhasan, the throne of the Hastinapur. So
That
it's not like eating the namak. It was like for that vow he has taken. He was supporting Duryodhana, and he was ready to fight. He was ready to fight because that's why Duryodhana made him the his commander in chief, right? But he had cleared in the beginning only that he won't kill 5 Pandavas. He will capture. He will capture Yudhishthir at the most, and the war will end because he was the king to be from that side. And if Yudhishthira will be captured, then the war will end. So Bhishma has mentioned in the beginning that he will kill all, but he will not kill those 5 Pandavas. So I think his feelings are quite clear. And in the whole Mahabharata, we come to know that Bhishma was only guiding himself only by his vow. And so here we can say that he was so attached to his vow that he let go everything happened wrong, and everything means even he was not, he was only concerned about himself. मेरा प्रण पूरा होता है कि नहीं. अगर उसको ऐसा लग रहा था कि भाई पूरा the whole kingdom is going haywire because of his vow, so he should have left that. So lesson is morality is not means we should not be so moral that we are just thinking about ourselves. As it is said, na satyam buryat priyam buryat apriyam satyam priyam asatyam cha na buryat. So if a lie can save someone's life, it is not adharma. But he didn't do that. He allowed Dhritarashtra and his son to do adharma, and that's why we can't means we can take him Bhishma as a person who is strong-willed, who is determined, but we can't take him as our ideal, because as a whole, as for the welfare of the subjects, he didn't do that well. Thank you.
Bhavani ji, please unmute.
Can you hear me? Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah, good.
Okay, my thought regarding Bhishma Pita is maybe he knew that on the opposite side is Krishna, and Krishna is there to guard the dharma, and winning will definitely be on his side. So he was ready to defeat, and that's why he was ready to fight, so that the kingdom would go in the right hands of the Pandavas. That's what.
there's one more story in Mahabharata about Bhishma Pitama, like who was the father of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, the king before them. Like Bhishma Pitama went and kidnapped these 3 sisters, right? Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika.
Ambalika.
And then actually one of them was actually in love with some other king, and she was going to marry him. But then Bhishma Pitama kidnapped these 3 girls and brought them to his kingdom so they could marry, his grandson. And then when he realized that Ambalika was in love with somebody, he told her, okay, you can go back. But then when she went back, that other king would not even take her back, because she had been, kidnapped by Bhishma Pitama for, his kingdom's prince. So I felt even at that point, like he was only, his loyalty lied only towards the throne, not towards the benefit of the kingdom, like you were pointing out. So like he was even doing all these kinds of things for the rulers of Hastinapur, but not really for like the good of people in general. So to me, I feel like his character is flawed in many ways, but of course he had taken that big vow of celibacy, and he sacrificed the kingdom for a word given to his father. So I think and of course he was a very valiant warrior, and there were many other good qualities about him too. But I feel like there are many flaws in his character too, from like even before the battle of the Mahabharata, or before these Pandavas and Kauravas started their infighting.
Yes, Pranabji, anything else to be said?
Just these are the
Yeah, that is
confusions that go
why-
on in our mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good
it
discussion.
is. Yeah, it is said that हम सभी को महाभारत पढ़ना चाहिए, क्योंकि महाभारत में ऐसा कोई चीज लेफ्ट आउट नहीं है जो हमारे अंदर नहीं है.
Yeah.
तो we see actually all characters and we also see कि उनका लास्ट में क्या होता है. तो उसको अगर हम जान लें, अगर महाभारत अच्छे से पढ़ लें और उसको अगर हम जान लें कि कौन कौन से कैरेक्टर है, उनका कैसा, उनका बिहेव करने से कैसा उनका अंत होता है, तो हमारे सब में वो कैरेक्टर है. तो हमें देखना है कि हम कितने % अर्जुन का करें, या कितना % हम श्री कृष्णा का करें, कितना % दुर्योधन का करें, बिकॉज दैट इज ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्ड. तो वी आर एक्चुअली मिक्स बैग ऑफ एवरीथिंग. नाउ once we read Mahabharata, then we can decide ki what should be the percentage in us.
बहुत अच्छी बात है.
That is my views.
Very nice point, Pranavji. Very nice point. Yeah. Yeah, we all have the good and bad in us, and we have to decide how much good we are, or try to be all good. Yes.
Like in gold, if you want to make ornament, actually you cannot make ornament with 24 karat. So you have to have some level of impurity. Otherwise, it is very difficult to sustain in this material world.
Yes.
So this is the thing.
True. True.
Correct.
Yes.
Shall I stop it here, Bhaiya, or shall we continue?
Yes, yes. I think we can conclude because somebody,
Yeah.
I think,
Yes.
go also.